we're going to hear from Luke Belfield, who's here to talk about digitising Victoria's infrastructure. Now, as far as I can tell, that means he's trying to bring back Pokemon Go in every building in Victoria, which I am certainly behind. But I'm sure Luke, who is Victoria's Chief Engineer at the Office of Projects Victoria, will be able to clarify that. Excellent. Please welcome Luke. Thanks, mate.
Well, Pokemon Go is an interesting concept. I'm not sure we're trying to do that. We're just trying to make things a little bit more simple for our project delivery agencies. So my name's Luke Belfield, Chief Engineer for Office of Projects Victoria, and thank you again for the opportunity to present. So today I'm going to speak to you about Victoria's efforts to digitise Victoria's infrastructure through OPV's Digital Build program. And firstly, I just want to give you some context of where Office of Projects Victoria sits, or OPV. Victoria's state government has 9 departments. They all deliver infrastructure to a certain extent. OPV sits within the Department of Treasury and Finance, which has a central role in providing systemic improvements across all those different portfolios. So they're really the central hub of project management or delivery. This means initiatives we deliver have an impact across all of those portfolios, so transport, justice, education, health, really all the infrastructure that you see in Victorian government. In addition to a whole of Victorian government perspective, we also deliver technical project support to some of Australia's biggest infrastructure projects being led out of Victoria. As no surprise to a lot of you here, and to set the scene, Australia is facing an infrastructure boom. And you can see here the wave of incoming infrastructure projects being delivered. Victoria is a significant contributor to Australia's pipeline, with a committed spend of 144 billion at the last state budget, with the next state budget coming out next week. So that's only likely to increase that wave. We recognise that not only will these assets be built in the next 5 to 10 years, but need to be maintained for the next 50 to 100 years. So there's quite a bit of a tail on that infrastructure spend. And the construction industry building this pipeline has a long way to go to improve its practices, especially in comparison to other sectors, as you can see from the graphic on the right there. Currently, construction is one of the lowest digitised sectors, just above agriculture and hunting. And we're looking at how we can improve this for Victoria. So we've got a long way to go, and we're putting a lot of effort into this. This diagram, and you may have seen it, highlights the differing role information management has on project delivery and explains the comparison between traditional projects and our ideal way or new way of working. Currently depicted in the red line, see the bottom one there, is a traditional way of delivering projects where we lose information between different stages or between different parties of a project, and it's disconnected and fragmented. Through good digital information management, we're reducing the loss of information, so that green line, and improving projects before they start, and importantly, as they're progressively handed over through a project to operations and between different parties. So infrastructure expenditure has increased faster than at any point in time. I think the stats is we've gone from a 4 times increase in Victoria, but increased cost pressures and quality expectations coupled with limited capability and capacity to deliver leads to a negative impact on productivity, project outcomes, capability and value for money. This is where Digital Build program is looking to address these 3 challenges right here. So on the left, the lack of vision or strategic direction. The digital asset policy is looking to address the challenge of clarity on a digital asset mandate, reducing inconsistent implementation and duplicated investment across departments and agencies. Within our locus of control, that being the Victorian government. The second challenge there, lower productivity and poor project outcomes. The digital build system, which I'll explain soon, as well as the digital asset policy, will address ineffective data sets and disconnected processes compounded by siloed approaches to information management. All those challenges result in inefficient planning and decision-making, duplication, rework, challenging design coordination, increased quantity of design construction errors and variations, and data unable to be fully utilised in operations. The third challenge there, pressure on industry capability. Clearing concise contractual requirements and future training will help address the pressure that the record infrastructure investment is applying on the industry's capability and capacity to deliver projects more efficiently. This pressure is also compounded by an increased demand for digital skill sets, which is creating a widening skill gap and increasing competition for key resources. We see the Digital Build program as providing a solution to these challenges, providing the Victorian Government as an integrated and consistent approach to digital asset and information management on its projects. We're aiming to improve planning processes with streamlined digital submissions and approvals, make tendering and procurement easier and cheaper with digital submissions, comparisons and standards taken from one contract to the next, enhance our ability to measure genuine and current project performance with analytics, dashboards and improved data, leverage the technology to improve design and engineering practice with things such as visualisation and clash detection and just better engineering and design coordination. While we have a focus on project delivery, we also recognise that projects deliver a service for people. Therefore, decisions made at the front end of the project have a significant impact on the way that they're handed over into operations and therefore the service they deliver. Over the past 2 years, we've steadily built a portfolio of work as a foundation. This includes the Victorian Digital Asset Strategy, which we launched in March 2020. This was really Project Zero, which was the precursor to our wider Digital Build program. This provided guidance to enable the Victorian Government to monitor and improve project delivery in Victoria. It is aimed at Victorian Government departments and agencies and sets out the who, why, how and when of digital information management, which also includes digital engineering and BIM. Though I should stress that how we try, one of our key ingredients to make sure that we're getting that change momentum, and because it is about change and changing behaviours, is trying to simplify language. So not to try and overcomplicate what we're telling our stakeholders or traditional project managers or people in government who might not necessarily understand what digital engineering and BIM is. The next sort of big milestone is we secured funding for $12 million to deliver the Digital Build program. We're hoping that's initial funding and we'll get a lot more funding as the success of the program is further delivered. But that was in November 2020, right when we were, it was our delayed coronavirus budget. The launch of the Digital Asset Policy. As you can see, Tim Pallas's friendly face up there, he's the Victorian Treasurer. He launched this policy in September last year. The policy is a 20-page document, so short and concise and to the point, and it's applicable to all projects in Victoria that are over 10 million. It sets the recommended and mandatory requirements for good information management across the project life cycle for the whole of Victorian Government. To ensure requirements are appropriate and proportional, because we're going from, we've got some projects at 10 million, some projects at 20 billion. There's differing requirements across those different project portfolios and departments and agencies. So there's 3 levels of application, and that's really geared at the value and complexity of the asset that you're trying to deliver. It also, the policy itself forms part of the Victorian Government investment lifecycle to ensure projects apply this policy in business as usual activities, and therefore gets us the usual sort of project assurance and other things. So it broadens out the requirements for what projects normally deliver. Coming up, we will soon be launching the Offsite Construction Guide, and I'm sure Amalaya in the audience would be very glad when it's released, because she certainly spent a lot of time and effort getting there. This will provide practical instruction to Victorian Government project teams in how to plan, procure and deliver projects using modern methods of construction. And for all those off-site construction newbies, it's basically how do we use technology to move some or all of the construction activities from a construction site into a manufacturing environment to then essentially create a flat pack of construction, if you will. And this is our forward plan, which I'll take you through over the next few slides. We have a number of projects about to be released or kicked off, and with all these projects we intend to engage with the whole of Victorian Government and industry where appropriate. So in current development is our digital build system work. This will seek to transform our current expensive and disconnected state, which is that little diagram on the left there, that fails to link important organisational functions to a connected future state that improves collaboration through shared common data environment with collaboration between disciplines. So we're not looking to change how people interface, although it might lead to that. Wouldn't be surprised if you see some projects being managed out of, for instance, Excel or PowerPoint. We're wanting to move people towards more automated systems, for instance, on scheduling, say a Microsoft project if appropriate, or a Primavera P6 if appropriate. So therefore, we're getting a lot more automated and a lot easier to manage data and consistent data. As shown on the screen, here are some examples of the documentation projects use every day. This information is traditionally disconnected, where specific information sits within its own environment. Through guidance like Victorian Digital Asset Strategy and setting requirements through the Digital Asset Policy, our government clients are increasingly requesting information in digital formats, improved through the use of digital tools, and projects understanding the benefits of digital ways of working to support project delivery. So how do we get to this utopia? Well, we're doing this through our pilot program, and we're in discussions now with a number of different delivery agencies as well as industry about pilots for proving elements of these. So this will introduce effective information management processes to improve Victorian Government delivery of projects, which can be taken and implemented at a broader scale. So we may be doing something for a small project over here, but then we want to use that and then scale that up en masse for all the delivery agencies in Victoria, and just saying it's $144 billion worth of infrastructure spend, so there's a huge benefit to be gained there. Also gaining insights on the existing issues and pain points and defining pilots to tackle those issues. So we're not just doing pilots for the sake of pilots, we want to make sure that we're doing things to projects or helping projects in their current state. So addressing the risks that they currently face, addressing the challenges they're currently facing, and to accelerate and make them more efficient in their delivery. And which, if effective, can also be implemented at a broader scale. So it also captures risks, benefits and opportunities through pilots to inform future implementation. And we're hoping to create case studies, which will be available on the OPV website that others could take up and really see and understand the benefits. So hoping that other jurisdictions take this up and really use the work that we're doing. We can also use the pilot data for benchmarking lessons and improvements, which will also inform future system architecture and implementation. Off-site construction, and I touched on it briefly, is a work stream integrated into the digital build program. So off-site construction leverages digital tools to drive productivity. We've developed a guidance document based on industry analysis to assist project teams in how to plan, procure and deliver infrastructure assets using this technique. The guidance provides detail for the different infrastructure types and procurement models to assess where value, risk and opportunity lie in off-site construction for them and how to realise benefits. We've also developed 2 tools to assist project teams in evaluating their projects for off-site construction suitability and assess a project for a suitable commercial model. So some projects may not entirely be suitable for this approach, but there may be parts of the project that are. So it's really what scale is appropriate for this new or different approach. The core purpose of the guide is to support better decision making, so that project teams have increased awareness and understanding of off-site construction methods, and improve capability and capacity so they have a good understanding of the value and risks with off-site construction. Flow-on effects have increased industry investment as well. The guide will be published shortly and made available on our website. Following its publication, we're developing a policy to further implement and increase uptake of off-site construction. So when I mean a policy, it's similar to the digital asset policy. It's how do you embed this within normal business as usual activities for Victorian government project teams. And we're hoping this will improve productivity in construction while uplifting government and industry as well. We're also working with the Building 4.0 CRC on 3 projects that connects government, university and industry to translate research into practice. So one of the projects is a research piece into offsite and modular construction hubs. This investigates and maps Victoria's supply chain ecosystem relative to existing regional development patterns to identify key levers for facilitating physical or digital offsite hubs. The second project aims to create pathways for Victoria's digital transition by developing and documenting a systemic understanding of the benefits of integrated project data management. And lastly, our third project takes our existing offsite evaluation tool and turbocharge it. This project will assist stakeholders to identify and assess the key factors in adopting offsite technologies and digital practices. We are also in the process of updating our traditional contracts. This will help the flow of requirements from our digital asset policy right through to our contractors, so that all through the value chain from the contractor, subcontractors, government project teams, central agencies and ministers, you'll get that flow of requirements for digital. This includes a review of the challenging legal and commercial landscape facing digital assets and off-site construction in various sectors and procurement models as well. It'll lead to a revision of standard contracts to mitigate these challenges, developing supporting guidance material to assist project staff, defining the legal issues, risks associated with digital assets and develop contract provisions to address those. New contract terms that incorporate digital and off-site policies into DTF standard contracts will then be delivered. So it's really about demystifying it at a commercial level for our project teams. This is a summary of all the aspects of the digital build program. So in addition to what I've covered, we'll soon be delivering the digital build and off-site training, digital asset and off-site construction training and guidance to support the implementation of good practice and uplift capability across government and its supply chains. We'll also be working on asset standards and object libraries to collect and define best practice objects, pardon me, modules, components and requirements for reuse during design and capital delivery, which is really important for the efficient design of major projects. Wouldn't it be great if we just had a library of components to work from and we're just plugging in and understanding how that all fits together rather than starting from scratch every time for design. So you may not see or hear OPV while we're working in the background, but by implementing the digital build, we seek to assist in managing better services for Victorians over the life cycle of infrastructure assets. Sorry. Improve decision-making capability and mitigate risk faster than ever before. So thank you for your time today, and for more information, please hit up the OPV website. And I believe we're going into questions now, is that right, Shannon?
Yeah, I think we've got a bit of time. Is there any online? No. Okay, is there any questions? We've got one over here.
Good morning. Good morning. Great presentation, I really enjoyed it. if you observe the impact that VDAS has had from a strategic perspective, you know, it was a significant heavy lift to engage with the industry and put together, you know, a directional piece. If you were to assess some of the deliverables that were set out in that strategy piece, where do you think we are?
It's a good question, and I'd say we knew when we released the VDAS that it would be a big step change, and some of the challenge areas I'd say is the behavioural change, and that takes time. Like projects are very much in the world of projects, and they just want to deliver. They don't want to know about all these annoying other things that they need to do or consider. And so part of the challenge is challenging those project delivery agencies and those departments to say, hey, this is something that you need to do, and it'll actually help you deliver those projects even better. So in terms of where we're up to, we definitely have a lot of the delivery agencies looking at this and implementing it on their projects, though they're all doing it in their own certain way. And so part of our challenge and what we're doing is making sure that they're done consistently, and that we're helping and at least aware or be involved in their processes to implement this work.
I think we've got another question over here.
Speaking, 1, 2, 3. Just looking at sort of benchmarking with, let's say, New South Wales, you can see that there's obviously a digital plan there, but you look at markets like health, I think has sort of led the way. And people from the health department have then worked at Transport for New South Wales, and there's work now going on in education, you know, the education standards in New South Wales. Is that model something you sort of see will happen in Victoria, where maybe one market, or let's say health, VIBA, will lead the way and others will go for, you know, do you have a target list of markets is the question, or is it just going to be across the board where you hope this will work?
Well, it is an interesting question. So where are you going to get the biggest bang for buck? And a lot of our projects are sort of past the commercial sign, so into a delivery phase, and it's hard to implement that in contracts. So I would say that we're focusing very much on a lot of projects that are currently in delivery, though helping at the start, but also just a lot of our infrastructure spend is on transport. So a lot of it is dedicated towards transport, but we need to be mindful that there's a whole lot of other portfolios out there, and we need to provide equal support and assistance. So yes, you know, health, schools, they all have different challenges, and we need to flex and be supportive of all of their journeys. So for instance, in government, we've set up different working groups, and some of the departments have set up their own working groups, which we've been part of. So for instance, Department of Transport were very keen on doing this, and we've been part of their working group from day one. We've worked with the Digital Twin Victoria team and Digital Victoria as well, which is out of the Premier and Cabinet's office, to work on how to do this across government and provide that transparency and awareness. But also embedding the requirements in technical reviews that we do of projects. So at least as the review recommendations, they understand what they need to do, and it's not something that they can just, you know, tick a box to and say, oh yeah, we've done that, when they haven't. Yeah. So in summary, we're trying to do it across the board and take opportunities where they present themselves.
Great. I've actually just got, I think there's another question coming up. I might just make a quick comment while we're moving there. I think what I was, you know, glad to see was just your you know, strategy around consistent libraries, object libraries, asset information requirements, and I guess just a comment from our side for BIMMEP Oz. You know, we've been in that space for a long time, and good to see, and to help the audience understand that, you know, all of us are on the same page with consistency and consistent frameworks around objects and asset information requirements, and getting everybody on the same page to reduce that, you know, starting from scratch each time. So certainly an important point. We might head for one more, maybe.
Yeah, hi Luke. Good presentation. Has there been any thought around how we have consistency not only with agencies in Victoria but what's happening at a national level, because it feels like this is a very consistent narrative that Victoria's undertaking. We know New South Wales is doing it. And just to ensure consistency across central government and the public sector, has there been any thought how to coordinate that across agencies across Australia? And I know that's a big lift and a big ask.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And Andrew, of course, is in the audience too. You know, Australasian BIM Advisory Board. So there is definitely a bit of a focus to drive that consistency, though it is difficult because it's all about your locus of control. You wouldn't expect a Rio and BHP to come together and sort of agree on standards, and that's why it's difficult for governments to come together and agree on standards and ways of working, because they all have different focuses. But there's a lot of goodwill from different governments to do that, and certainly Victoria isn't shy of coming forward and consulting with our different jurisdictions and saying, here, this is what we want to go with. Would love your comments and challenge. Is there anything else that you've seen that works that we should be including, or what else should we be considering? In saying that, we're also, there's a Board of Treasurers working group that Victoria chairs, and we're trying to drive that consistency at the central agency level too. So that involves all the different jurisdictions, departments of Treasury and Finance. Victoria, through that, is also a member of the Global BIM Steering Committee. So not only national consistency, but we're trying to go international consistency. And we're definitely benefiting from a lot of the learnings from all over the globe there. And they include members from, you know, the US, Asia, Europe, and quite a lot of interested and active participants. So yes, we are trying to drive consistency, though it is difficult.
All right, I think I'm getting the time check here. So and look, just so everybody knows, Luke is on the panel later with Russell Telford as moderator and Andrew and a couple others. So if you do have any other questions, you know, maybe there's an opportunity in the panel there. So thanks, Luke, again for your time. I might hand to Charlie just quickly.
Sure, great. Round of applause for Luke.
Thank you.